different tools you have at your disposal. First off being lubrication. So we have 3 different types of lubricant, actually 4. I brought in some massage cream that I made. It has a lot of shea butter, cocoa butter, olive oil, and coconut oil. It's oil based, so it won't wear off very quickly. So it'll stay on the person for quite a while, as opposed to a water-based lubrication. Like Ricky, I think you brought a skin cream, skin lotion.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it, but I'm assuming that it's water-based, and that's gonna wear off the skin kind of quick, which just means you might have to reapply a little bit more often.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? And we also have the cream that we used last year for the modality course, and I'm not sure what base that is, but what I'm getting at here is you got to know what you're using and use it appropriately. For deep tissue work, you don't want to have too much lubrication. You want to limit the amount you use. Remember, you can always go back for more. All right. So you might apply a couple times, and that would be better than applying too much at first and then having to go get some alcohol wipes and clean off and start over again. So keep it handy and apply more if necessary rather than applying too much at first. Okay. So the first things we're going to talk about today are using different parts of your body. So I think the way we'll do this is, I'll just demonstrate on Luke, how to use the fingers on like 3 or 4 different body parts, and then I'll let you guys practice, and then demonstrate how to use the thumbs and how not to use the thumbs, or I might do 2 body parts at once or whatever, and then come back and demo, and then so it's kind of like back and forth, and then we can go through the whole thing again with the other person practicing. Or if you guys want, we can both practice at once, just switch and then go through the whole thing. See what happens. All right. So let's start off with. Want to pause that, Ricky? I gotta grab my. We'll talk about don'ts and then do's. All right. So if you want to lay on your stomach with your head in the face hole real quick, Luke. How's that on your neck? That's good. All right. First, I'm gonna show how not to use your thumbs, and then how to use your thumbs. So you guys can get closer if you want. So, tell me if I get the video. So just for like how long this would last for, when I was doing 10 to 20 massages a week, a tube like this size would last between 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, so that's how much cream I used. So you probably are using too much at first. All right. I do a lot of massage dry. The skin usually has quite a bit. All right. So how many of you took the course with Sarah over the last winter? How many of you have any experience doing massage? Okay. So, So if I end up using my thumbs to do a lot of deep work, I can start doing some nice kneading with my thumbs like this. Okay, but pretty quickly I'm going to want to switch, because you can see, my joint's there, and I'm using pressure at a 90-degree angle to my joint. There's going to be a lot of shear force, and that's going to quickly wear down my thumbs. Okay, and I don't want to end up doing a lot of deep tissue work. So it's very tempting because you can get very specific with your thumb. If you're in a spot like the laminar groove, you can get in there and you can palpate really well, and you can find and you can do deep tissue work, but you're going to wear down that thumb really quick. If you can't find another body part to use and you want to use your thumb, reinforce it so the pressure is going to come from this hand. Okay. All right. And then I can find a spot, work on that and sink in, work it. So when we're doing deep tissue work, the idea isn't necessarily to go as deep as you can. That's kind of a misnomer. Deep tissue more refers to finding the depth that you need to get to. Okay, so if we work on this area here, we know we have several different muscle groups. We got the lower traps, we got the rhomboids, we got the erectors, and we got smaller muscles in the laminar groove, the rotatories and whatnot. So it's trying to find the depth at what your target tissue is. Okay, so not to sound too much like Jeremy, but what is your target tissue? So if you're working on the rhomboids, you're going to be not trying to sink in as much. Okay. So one place where I like to work with my thumbs is on broader, flat tendons, like the triceps or the quadriceps tendon. So Luke, if you could turn over onto your back, kind of as like a warm-up. Let me grab bend your knees for me. If I want to work on this quadriceps tendon a little bit, I can get a little bit of cream on there. And I don't always like to put cream on the skin. I like to put it on my hands first, where I'm going to be using. Okay, so we got a nice wide flat tendon, that quadriceps tendon. Okay, you can kind of knead that nice and easy. And again, I'm not going to use my thumbs for more than 30 seconds here at a time. Okay, another spot I can location on right here because I don't want to slide too much. I want to get some good grip here. So working around the rib cage, you can really work to free up the rib cage. You can kind of get a sense of how his ribs are moving, how much length is between his ribs and his hips. Then you can start to use your fingers to kind of open that area up. And you want to be careful that you don't hyperextend your fingers too much. At the same token, if you're too curved, it's going to be all fingertips. So you want to find a balance between having a little bit of curve to your fingers, at the same time not hyperextending. You can anchor here, do some work with your fingers, kind of working to spread that a bit. And I might have already done a little bit of work here just to soften this area up. And I'm kind of transitioning, you can probably feel this, I'm kind of transitioned from fingertips and fingers to kind of palm and whole hand, just to kind of get some kind of continue the stroke. Another thing you can do with your fingertips is some cross fiber work. So I can get into his origins of his QL and erectors. And this isn't the most comfortable work if this is the first type of stroke you're doing on somebody, so you might do a little bit of kneading, you might do some compressions on the back, you might have them start on their stomach and do some compressions, you might do a little work just to loosen the area up, and then you might come to side lying. Again, you can kind of open that area up and come in and come across the fibers. And you can feel the tissue lengthening underneath your fingers and softening, lengthening, and it becomes tight and soften. And when you lengthen it, you don't want to be moving it as much. And then when you soften, you can kind of move a little bit faster. So I'm kind of going to hang out a little bit in that area, and then I might move a little bit, hang out. And I'm working a lot faster than I might normally work. I might take this one stroke might last like 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, but it might be at this pace. so that's some fingertip work. What else do I have? All right, we can work on the IT band with fingertips. Might go over here, Ricky. Probably use a little bit more cream, a little bit more lubrication than you are with women, just because, you know, especially on the legs and the chest, because there's hair. You don't want to pull the hair. So I might just put a little bit on my hand, kind of get it distributed a little bit, and the concept of spreading. Okay, so we have the long IT band here. It's a long top band of fascia. You know, we think about, you know, making sure that, you know, that moves freely between fascial compartments, so you can spread tissue away from the IT band. Okay, so I'm contacting his IT band with probably 2/3 of my fingers. I mean, I am making contact here, but the majority of my force is about 2/3. If I go fingertips, that can get pretty intense, but then if I distribute it a little bit more, it's not as intense. Okay.
So are you falling off both sides of the IT band basically onto the quad and then onto the hamstrings?
Yeah, and the idea is, you know, like just making sure that, you know, this IT band is free from adhering from either one of those fascial compartments. You know, if it's pulling one way or the other, it's going to alter the hip and alter the knee mechanics. Okay. And in terms of spreading, I think one of the best ways to do that spreading stroke is your palms also. You can do also nice long strokes along the IT band with the palm. Notice how soft and relaxed my hand is here. Okay? If I start tensing my hand, does that feel a lot different? Mm-hmm. See his face? Compared to, you know, a nice soft hand distributes the weight really easily. Okay? Alright, so let's stop there. Give you guys a chance to practice. Work. I can come into a place like the spinal groove, and you got all those tiny rotatory muscles, the multifidus muscles. You know, a lot of people strain those muscles, and it's not something you want to be working on the day after they strain it, but there might be some fibrous buildup, you know, when they start to recover, they're in a subacute to chronic stage, and you can kind of come into that area, and you're going to come up a little bit higher of an angle instead of being at such an obtuse, acute angle. You can come up, and you know, I try to work, you know, my middle finger's a little longer, so I try to get both of those working on there. And I can kind of come up and work on those there. That spinal groove. Again, you don't see me hyperextending too much. And I can get a lot of force through these. And I can feel really, I mean, if he had you know, a tight muscle through here, I'd be able to get a sense of that pretty well. And if you have to, you can even double up.
Before, were you using your left hand as like an anchor?
Yeah, it's almost like, I don't know, I call it almost like an anchor and stretch. You know, don't think that you got to work from here to here in one stroke. You know, you might work a little bit, and you find something, and you keep working on it a little bit, same spot, and you might work up a little bit. So I'm using pretty short strokes here. I'm not trying to do a long stroke, all right? And yeah, we'll stop there.